Yo, what's up, man? It's BSMG Tunnel. It's early in the morning, and I was just scrolling on my phone, and a video popped up, and I just saw like a police officer pull up while this guy just had his bike, and I said, oh, this ought to be good. I watch cop videos a lot, whether it's good cops, bad cops, tyrants, all types. So let's get into them. I really want to see what this guy talking about with this guy. So let's do it.
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers excessive force, public intoxication, and the duty to provide medical care, and is brought to us by the Houston Landing. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. On February 26, 2022, Officer Michael Kinsley of the Dickinson Police Department responded to an accident where 65-year-old Michael Scurlock was hit by a pickup truck as he rode his bike in Dickinson, Texas. The interaction that followed was captured on Officer Kinsley's body-worn camera and later on Officer Kevin Chance's body camera.
63, show me out on that auto bed.
I said I was.
You alright?
We had a little get together. He's being stubborn about getting checked out, but he said he alright.
I'm all right.
So we're just.
You alright?
I told him I want to take him
No,
down.
I ain't all right. I need about $1 million, and then I'll be all right.
Well, you ain't getting that, so.
Yeah.
Well, no.
I'm trying to get him. He's always.
Okay. So far he said he was all right the first time. First he said that this guy right here, and then he responded and said he all right, and then once he looked at the police officer say, are you all right again? Which is cool, because I guess you want to hear it come out his mouth, but he did just say it like not even 5 seconds ago too. So then he said he not all right, he need $1 million. The police officer say, well, you ain't getting that. How would you know what a man getting? You starting off as an asshole cop, even though he being an asshole. When a person being an asshole to you, that don't mean you have to be an asshole to them, sir. You feel me? How you gonna tell this man he ain't getting $1 million? So you feel me? He could be playing a lottery at that gas station or whatever, and he probably got a whole winning ticket in his damn pocket, and now he worth more than what you made your whole life. Like, stop being an asshole, bro. Let's keep going.
You go ahead and get that.
I want to get you down.
I got that, I can put that
Okay.
even though it's a complicated son of a.
Yeah. Well, so what do you want to do?
I'm gonna put this in home.
63, he's not injured, no ambulance needed. Can you run Michael Scurlock?
They doing ads in my video, bro.
I think I'm gonna flip that cover over. I don't think you're going at it right. There you go.
Yeah, I got the tools at the house. You know where I live.
You didn't do that on purpose.
No, sir.
63, did you get my last
Yeah.
transmission?
So I'm guessing, all right, this got bike, and this might be the guy with the pickup truck that hit him. That's why he was trying to help him, like tighten his wheel, his chain, or anything back up. So I see what he's saying, and now he's telling him, like, he know he got the tools at the house, so you feel me, just pull up anytime and we'll take care of your little situation and whatever.
I'll come by you.
Stop by the house. You know where I be.
I'm glad that you are somebody I know.
Hey, hold on. Don't go anywhere yet.
What do you mean don't go anywhere yet?
Exactly what the f I mean. Don't go anywhere yet.
Hey,
Whoa. Okay, if they no longer need you, bro, it's not if this guy don't want to press charges on this guy or anything like that, or he said he don't need an ambulance, why are you still trying to detain the guy? And then he finna pull off on his bike. You tell him don't go nowhere yet. He tell you why I can't go nowhere. You say why the just what the fuck I said. Like, bro, come on, bro. Yeah, you an asshole, gang. Hopefully they if you don't do anything more insane than that in this video, hopefully they put your ass on suspension when you see this body camera. Hopefully this altercation ain't go no farther.
What the have I done?
I was.
What?
What happened?
He hit me accidentally.
EMS is not needed.
Looking that way to go, and I was starting to ease out. And the next time I see a flash in front of him, he goes.
I was worrying about
bumped
flat.
out.
Now, I ain't worried about flat. Look at that wheel.
Wee! What were you driving?
I got to fix a flat in that cylinder. And it ain't supposed to fix bicycle tires. It adheres the tube to the tire. And that son of a is leaking down. Boom, bang. Let's get this. I'm trying to drive with it. Now, where you go? All right, am I through?
No.
What have I got to do?
You gotta wait here
What for? Tell me.
till we finish our investigation.
Investigation? There ain't
Matter of fact,
no
have a seat. Have a seat on the curb.
Matter of fact, I was out there laying.
Have a seat on the curb.
You're not listening to me.
Have a seat
That's
on the
what you're
curb.
supposed to do.
Have a seat on the curb.
She hit me. I mean, he hit me, and I wasn't. I thought he saw me.
Hey, have a seat on the curb.
I'm gonna look for my stuff, young man.
All right, turn around.
Come on now, wait a minute.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
relax.
What are you doing?
Hey,
This is the fucking victim, bro. Just cause he don't wanna, use a fucking asshole. So I'm guessing the name, I can't even remember the name he said a few minutes ago, but I'm guessing he wanted his dispatcher to run this guy name and whatever, and so that's why he wanted to sit on the curb. Like, bro, like, then you arresting a man, bro. Like, is you cool?
Hey,
you're gonna have a seat. Sit down.
I'll try to have a seat if you'll let go of me. You don't own me.
We need him now.
63, go ahead, roll an ambulance.
After Mr. Scurlock attempts to step away from Officer Kinsley to collect his possessions, Officer Kinsley grabs his arm and shoves him against the cruiser. When Mr. Scurlock tenses up, Officer Kinsley throws him to the ground, causing him to apparently lose consciousness. Although the type of force used to take Mr. Scurlock to the ground is not clear from the body.
So you already not following y'all SOP, whatever policy y'all got. How you gon', this guy's the victim, and you set up here and just, they told you they no longer need y'all. They don't need y'all. They don't need ambulance. Him and the other guy know each other. They good. You feel me? Just cause you want to continue your weak ass investigation for no apparent reason, and you got both parties who just told you what the situation was, you still finna try to detain and now arrest this guy. Then you throw him on the damn ground. That's abuse of power, bro. That's why, man, bro, I fucking hate the police. Some.
Camera footage, a bystander reported that he saw Officer Kinsley flip Mr. Scurlock upside down and slam him headfirst into the curb. Officer Kinsley, on the other hand, claimed that he wrapped his arms around Mr. Scurlock and tripped him with his leg as part of a tactical takedown move. Now, as we've discussed many times before here on ATA, the Supreme Court established 3 guideposts for courts to use when determining whether a particular use of force was constitutionally excessive in the 1989 case of Graham versus Connor. These guideposts, which are often referred to as the Graham factors, include, now quoting, the severity of the crime at issue, whether the suspect poses an immediate threat to the safety of the officers or others, and whether he is actively resisting arrest or attempting to evade arrest by flight. Applying the Graham factors to this situation, Mr. Scurlock was the victim of an accident and was not suspected of a crime at the time Officer Kinsley arrived, although it is possible that a court would conclude his non-compliance with Officer Kinsley's orders created arguable probable cause for an an interference with a public servant charge, which is a Class B misdemeanor. Likewise, Mr. Scurlock did not take any aggressive actions or appear to pose a threat to anyone, and although he did refuse to comply with Officer Kinsley's orders by attempting to step away, he was not under arrest, and therefore could not be considered to be attempting to resist or evade arrest. Additionally, as the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which has jurisdiction over Texas, explained in the 2000 case of Goodson versus City of Corpus Christi, quote, "In the Fifth Circuit, to succeed on an excessive force claim, the plaintiff bears the burden of showing 1. An injury, 2. Which resulted directly and only from the use of force that was clearly excessive to the need, and 3. The force used was objectively unreasonable." In the 2014 case of Backey versus City of Galveston, an officer argued that he was entitled to qualified immunity for his use of force against a citizen, claiming that a subject's failure to follow police orders, standing alone, may be sufficient justification for the use of force. In rejecting this argument, the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Texas determined that, quote, "It is true that a subject's failure to follow police orders is sometimes invoked as justification for use of force, but failure to comply with orders is not a separate and additional factor to be considered in the Graham framework. It is subsumed within the Graham factors themselves." In the Backey case, the court concluded that the citizen's alleged refusal to follow orders should be considered under the first Graham factor, the severity of the crime at issue. The court noted that, at most, his alleged refusal to leave the area constituted interference with a public servant, and held that, now quoting, "Under clearly established law, no reasonable officer would have believed it lawful to tase a subject for such a minor offense, particularly when the officer had not attempted to use any intermediate measures of force." Now, although Officer Kinsley did not tase Mr. Scurlock, he used aggressive and serious force on him that caused him to lose consciousness without first attempting intermediate force, and it seems likely that a court would conclude that this use of force was excessive.
We need him now.
63, go ahead, roll in.
Is he out?
Huh?
Is he out?
Is he out? Man, it was just fine. You want to be an asshole and throw the guy on the ground, then it kills me. I understand that's part of y'all policy where when you he first off, he didn't even commit a crime, so he shouldn't have been in cuffs. But if a person commits some type of crime, I understand it's in y'all policy to still put him in cuffs and whatever. But he didn't commit a crime. But not only was he the victim, but you threw him in cuffs and threw him to the ground, and now he lost consciousness and shit. You said you didn't need an ambulance. Now all of a sudden you need an ambulance. Like, my guy, you shouldn't even be a fucking police officer. Hang your fucking badge up. You pathetic.
You know his name?
Michael Scurlock, I believe.
Michael Scurlock.
You don't want the whole world to know how sick you are.
This girl can cause a lot of problems for us.
You've gone too far. What did you do?
Is he drunk?
Huh?
Is he drunk?
I don't know. I tried to get him to sit down because it looked like he was going to walk away. He wouldn't do it, so now I told him, put your hands behind your back and start resisting.
First off, brother, this is where y'all fucked up at. If he's got hit off his bike and he loves bike, he put some what's that spray stuff, some inflated spray, whatever you want to call it, to boost his tire back up with the air pressure spray and whatever. After you told him to sit on the curb, he said you not listening. He was finna explain to you what he got hit off his bike at, which is probably in this area. He was coming this way, and the guy must either turn from this way into the thing, or when he was walking this way, the guy must have turned off this end and came into the parking lot. So if the guy was the older guy, Cumberland, whatever his name, was trying to explain to you that whatever the situation was, you still was trying to abuse your authority by having him to sit on the curb and then thinking he finna walk away from you. His bike's still right here, sir. He not finna leave his bike, and even if he try to run, you a way younger guy who could catch that old man. But I highly doubt he was finna run from you. his bike was still sitting here. He is straight up explained to you that he was trying to find his stuff that might have fell out his pocket when he fell off his bike. But you still want to abuse your power and take other steps to just get an arrest. Like, what the fuck, bro?
Let me get his information so I can get him out of here. You good holding him? You want some gloves or something?
I mean, I already touched him. I got some things.
As they wait for EMS to arrive on the scene, Officer Kinsley and Officer Chance discuss whether Mr. Scurlock was drunk, despite the fact that the body camera footage showed no signs of intoxication. After consultation with his supervisor, Officer Kinsley eventually arrested Mr. Scurlock for public intoxication, although his blood alcohol concentration was never tested. In defending the arrest, Officer Kinsley's supervisor claimed that he had seen Mr. Scurlock acting erratically earlier in the day, and Officer Kinsley said a bottle in the basket of Mr. Scurlock's bike contained liquid that smelled like alcohol. Under Section 49.02 of the Texas Penal Code, the state public intoxication statute, quote, "A person commits an offense if the person appears to be in a public place while intoxicated to the degree that the person may endanger the person or another." Section 1.07 of the Penal Code defines the term public place as, quote, "Any place to which the public or a substantial group of the public has access and includes, but is not limited to, streets, highways, and the common areas of schools, hospitals, apartment houses, office buildings, transport facilities, and shops." As such, Mr. Scurlock was likely in a public place at the time of his arrest. However, there is a strong argument that the officers did not have probable cause to believe that Mr. Scurlock was intoxicated. Although the Court of Criminal Appeals of Texas held in the 2019 case of State v. Martinez that there was sufficient evidence for officers to believe that an individual rendered himself subject to potential danger by being intoxicated in a parking lot of a public place, in that case, there was substantial evidence that the suspect was actually intoxicated. The officers testified that they could smell the odor of alcohol on the citizen's breath, that he had trouble standing and was swaying, that his speech was slurred, and that his eyes were red and glassy. Here, the only evidence...
Oh my God, why do y'all do this to try to cover y'all ass, bro, when it's clear as fucking HD? Shout out Barack Obama for making every officer have to watch body cams, and if they turn their body cam off, they should automatically be terminated from being a public servant, regardless, no matter what the situation, whether they didn't do nothing or did something. Because these body cams and cameras and everything, they come in handy, because you got fucked up cops like this who try to cover their ass, and they partners just as fucked up as them who try to help them cover up. You saw this man didn't do nothing. Yeah, he's a grown man. He gonna talk crazy. He didn't talk too crazy. He didn't give you no type of attitude until you start like trying to demand him to do everything. And now your partner sitting here trying to cover it up. Is he drunk? Is he drunk? Giving you a thought on how you could cover your ass for making a guy lose conscience.
Evidence the officers had was Mr. Scurlock's alleged quote-unquote erratic behavior earlier in the day and a bottle that potentially contained alcohol. The body camera footage did not show that Mr. Scurlock exhibited any slurred speech.
Another thing, y'all wasn't even supposed to search this man's bike. He committed no crime. You wasn't supposed to search this man's bike. So whatever can or bottle you found in that basket that's on his bike, that shit should be automatically thrown out of court, regardless.
Difficulty standing or swaying, and his eyes did not appear to be red or glassy. Further, the officers never claimed to smell alcohol on Mr. Scurlock's breath or person, and they did not mention the idea of him being intoxicated until after Officer Kinsley had rendered him unconscious. Accordingly, it is likely that a court would conclude that the officers did not have arguable probable cause to arrest Mr. Scurlock for public intoxication. Although Officer Kinsley called for an ambulance, Mr. Scurlock eventually regained consciousness, and and when EMS arrived, Mr. Scurlock refused medical attention. However, at the time, he was unstable and confused, with blood streaming down his face.
Ooh.
Officer Kinsley then transported him to the Dickinson City Jail, where staffer Floyd Pruitt said Mr. Scurlock needed to go to the hospital, but admitted him anyway. Despite the fact that Mr. Scurlock began complaining of pain and dizziness even before he arrived at the jail, he spent the night in a cell, where video footage showed him unsteady even in a seated position, collapsing and vomiting. The jail's security...
So look, remember you say this guy, he say I want $1 million, and you say I'm not gonna get that. You damn near just help him get close to it.
Security camera also captured an interaction between Mr. Scurlock and Mr. Pruitt the next morning, as Mr. Pruitt had to help Mr. Scurlock out of his cell to stand.
When the bystander that called the police, I didn't think that he hit his head on a curb, but I saw it from a different camera angle. Hopefully when they show the other cop body footage, we'll see that. But you definitely slammed the guy on the ground, and I saw him like laying on his side or whatever, but like, there's no telling how a person fall when they being thrown to the ground. He might have bumped his head on the side of the curb. You feel me? And now you instead of you being a good servant, even though the man refused medical attention, some of y'all police, y'all have bandages and all that. You could have did it if you still was gonna take him to the station, but instead you put him in you threw him on the ground, you put him in handcuffs, you busted his face open, and then just off him regaining his conscience, you tell this man, he tell you he don't need medical attention. You clearly see he need medical attention now due to the fact you throwing him on the ground and busting his face open, but instead you still put the man in the back of your squad car and transfer him to the Dickinson police station to get him processed. And this guy, he tell you he need to go to the ambulance, he need to go to the hospital. The older man, he still refused, but he admitted him anyway, which is what the damn police officer should have did. But you want to go back to the station and do some fucking paperwork to get this man processed, to have him sit, what, a day in jail? Is that fucking worth your job, dumbass?
And before a judge setting bail.
Come on.
Coward, bro. Now that man sitting in the cell vomiting.
You got a car.
Now he ain't even walking the same.
A car for what? To get me home. No, I don't have a car to get you home in. Come on.
Mr. Scurlock, you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to a lawyer. You have the right to have a lawyer present at any interview at the place you're
What for?
You have the right to terminate any interview at any time. You don't have to make a statement, but I must warn you, any statement you make can or will be used against you. You're charged with public intoxication. I'm going to set a bond of $581. Can you make bond, sir? I take that as a no.
Yeah, I guess.
What are you going to do? What do we do?
Oh,
He can't
oh.
He's got the laceration on his head. Okay, payment plan or this?
Yeah, payment plan.
Okay.
Oh, how am I here?
You got arrested for public intoxication yesterday.
I got beat on this.
Public intoxication yesterday. This is his response. I got beat on yesterday. Which, he in his right mind, he knows what's going on. Now y'all trying to make this man do a payment plan for bond?
Today.
Having to sign that, fill that out. If it has any information, we'll go from there.
I understand you two guys right here kind of don't know what's going on, but man, you.
Man, I ain't got no way out of here.
No, you're getting out. You're getting out. Sign right here for me.
Oh, God.
You make it on it the best you can.
Man, I can't see.
Huh?
I can't see.
Right here. Sign your name the best you can.
Okay.
Why that police officer went home and just enjoyed his
You're
day.
not ready for it.
You got this older guy sitting here stumbling, vomiting, bleeding.
Just sit right there on the bench for
Gotta
me.
be helped.
I think this one got, I think this is.
God, nice.
That got.
Look.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, man. Okay, hey, you're gonna have to be quiet.
Ain't gonna lie,
You have to be quiet right there.
that's saying it a little fake. That's saying it a little fake, but we finna see.
Destiny, come on. I can't come on. The judge is out here. Sit down right there.
Despite the fact that Mr. Scurlock exhibits extreme disorientation, difficulty walking, and reported that he could not see, the jail employees do not offer or provide any medical assistance for Mr. Scurlock. In the 1983 case of Revere versus Massachusetts General Hospital, the Supreme Court recognized, now quoting, a municipality's constitutional duty to obtain necessary medical care for a person injured by the municipality's police in the performance of their duties, and held that the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment requires the government to, now quoting again, provide medical care to persons who have been injured while being apprehended by the police. In the Revere case, the court determined that the government had fulfilled its constitutional obligation by seeing that the injured individual was taken promptly to a hospital that provided the treatment necessary for his injury, and ensuring that the medical care needed was in fact provided. Now, although Officer Kinsley called for an ambulance, he did not ensure that Mr. Scurlock received medical care, allowing him to refuse EMS and taking him to jail, despite the clear need for treatment for his open wound and exhibited traumatic brain injury symptoms. As such, there is certainly cause to believe that Officer Kinsley violated his duty to provide medical care to Mr. Scurlock. Additionally, the Supreme Court...
He violated his duty when he told that old guy exactly what I said. That's when he violated his duty.
Concluded in the Revere case that the Eighth Amendment's prohibition on cruel and unusual punishments is violated by, now quoting, deliberate indifference to serious medical needs of prisoners, and that while the Eighth Amendment applies only to convicted prisoners and not to pretrial detainees, the due process rights of pretrial detainees, now quoting, are at least as great as the Eighth Amendment protections available to a convicted prisoner. Accordingly, as the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals explained in the 2021 case of Martinez versus City of North Richland Hills, quote, when officials demonstrate deliberate indifference to a pretrial detainee's serious medical needs, they violate the 14th Amendment. The court also noted that, quote, deliberate indifference is a demanding standard. It requires that an official both know the pretrial detainee faces a substantial risk of serious harm and disregard that risk by failing to take reasonable measures to abate it. Here, Mr. Scurlock's symptoms appeared to be severe and evident, and there is a strong argument that the jail officials demonstrated deliberate indifference to Mr. Scurlock's serious medical needs. After Mr. Scurlock saw the judge, Mr. Pruitt gave him an aspirin and released him from the jail. Mr. Scurlock was driven home, and the next day, Mr. Scurlock's sister found him unconscious in her backyard. She took him to the hospital, where doctors diagnosed him with a brain bleed and admitted him to intensive care, where he remained for 2 weeks. In December of 2022, Mr. Scurlock passed away following a stroke, and according to his sister, he never fully recovered from his brain injury and spent the rest of his life in and out of hospitals and nursing homes. Although a medical examiner concluded that Mr. Scurlock died of Parkinson's disease, his family attributed his death to complications from the brain bleed caused by Officer Kinsley. Former Dickinson Lieutenant Frank Price conducted an internal affairs review of the altercation shortly after it occurred, which included a visit with Mr. Scurlock in the hospital. Lieutenant Price concluded that Officer Kinsley had not engaged in any wrongdoing and no punishment was recommended. Officer Kinsley was later promoted to sergeant. However, nearly 7 months later, after a whistleblower came forward, city officials hired retired Austin Police Department Detective Jesse Prado as a private investigator to review several Dickinson Police Department cases, including Mr. Scurlock's. After completing his investigation, Mr. Prado issued a report in April of 2023. The report determined that Lieutenant Price conducted a, and I'm quoting, flawed and biased inquiry into the altercation and deliberately worked to, quote, cover up up the incident, noting that
Exactly.
Lieutenant Price only interviewed one Dickinson police officer, Officer Kinsley himself, and did not document Mr. Scurlock's extensive medical problems in the jail. Mr. Prado also found that Lieutenant Price did not tell doctors that Mr. Scurlock hit his head on the ground when he visited the hospital, even though the physicians were unsure of what caused the injury. Mr. Prado additionally concluded that Dickinson's then police chief, Ronald Morales, was intentionally, quote-unquote, untruthful in his responses to city officials when they asked about the encounter, originally telling them that Mr. Scurlock's injuries were caused by the bike crash. Additionally, Mr. Prado's report determined that Officer Kinsley, quote, showed ill will and malice during his interaction with Mr. Scurlock, unnecessarily escalated the incident, omitted key information about Mr. Scurlock's injury to the EMS technician who responded to the scene, missed multiple opportunities to provide medical care, and inaccurately described the encounter in an official report. Finally, Mr. Prado, who was not asked by city officials to investigate Mr. Pruitt, stated in his report that Mr. Pruitt, quote, failed to render aid to Mr. Scurlock. The Galveston County District Attorney's Office Public Integrity Division reviewed the report for criminal charges, and on February 22, 2024, a grand jury indicted Officer Kinsley with abusing an elderly person, which is a third-degree felony, and official oppression, a Class A misdemeanor. In their indictment, the grand jurors determined that Officer Kinsley caused Mr. Scurlock's body and head to strike the ground and failed to obtain medical care for him despite having ample opportunity to do so while he was in his custody. They also found that Officer Kinsley knowingly arrested, detained, and mistreated Mr. Scurlock in an unlawful manner. As of the date of writing this episode, these charges are still pending. Notably, Officer Kinsley's employment records included repeated allegations of excessive force and reckless behavior, resulting in at least 5 internal affairs investigations by both the Dickinson PD and the Houston Police Department, where Officer Kinsley worked from 2017 to 2019. During his time at the Houston PD, Officer Kinsley received a 5-day suspension for inappropriate use of force, and ultimately resigned in 2019 while suspended from duty for an investigation into unspecified misconduct allegations. He joined the Dickinson Police Department about 1 year later. Overall, Officer Kinsley gets an F for using excessive and unnecessary force against Mr. Scurlock, demonstrating an extreme level of indifference to the physical injury he caused, and seemingly fabricating a public intoxication charge against Mr. Scurlock in an apparent effort to justify the extreme force he used against him. Officer Price, Mr. Pruitt, and the other police and jail officials who came into contact with Mr. Scurlock also get an F for demonstrating a complete lack of concern for Mr. Scurlock's well-being and failing to ensure that he received medical care for his obvious and severe symptoms. Finally, Lieutenant Price and Chief Morales also get an F for failing to acknowledge Officer Kinsley's misconduct and apparently attempting to cover up the incident and mislead city officials. In many ways, the appalling nature of this encounter speaks for itself, and if there was a grade lower than an F, I would certainly assign it to the Dickinson police and jail personnel involved in this incident. I commend the city officials for hiring Mr. Prado to investigate this horrifying altercation, and the Galveston County District Attorney's Office for pursuing criminal charges against Officer Kinsley. As for Mr. Scurlock, I cannot rightly assign a grade to an individual who suffered a severe injury at the hands of a police officer and spent most of the encounter unconscious or clearly exhibiting symptoms of a serious traumatic brain injury. There was no justification for the level of force that Officer Kinsley used against him, or the apparent indifference to his suffering demonstrated by the police and jail officials who came into contact with him. And I offer my deepest condolences to Mr. Scurlock's family. It is truly devastating that Mr. Scurlock lost his life, potentially as a result of police brutality and misconduct, and I hope that Mr. Scurlock's family is able to find some level of peace and comfort from the criminal charges that have been filed against Officer Kinsley. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss.
So, that's the problem with the police. They abuse their power, and when they know they messed up, you got other cops, which could be friends or people who just telling them what they can do to get out the situation, which leads to them telling them to resign and whatnot. And as soon as they resign from that one police department that they working for, they later go work for another police department and do the same damn thing. When you have misconduct at one police department, you shouldn't be able to go be a police officer at another location. Like it shouldn't work like that, but unfortunately it does. And charges still pending. I don't know how. Hopefully he already been he clearly been indicted already, but hopefully he served some time. Hopefully he served some time, cause he I'd say a 7 out of 10 chance he about was the problem that caused this skirt lot to lose his life. So if any police officer seeing this video, if any just normal citizens seeing this video, if you see the police arresting anybody, whether you saw that the person wasn't doing nothing or doing anything, make sure you pull out your phone and record, because them cameras will play a big part in court. You feel me? So you police officer, y'all just do y'all job better, bro. We all know y'all got a dangerous job, but situations like this, when a guy sitting there fixing his bike and then you come grabbing on him, trying to throw him on the ground and whatnot, then you shouldn't be a police officer, bro. You shouldn't just be a police officer. Like you suck. You suck. You abusing your power. This guy was the victim, and you told this guy he can't get $1 million. Hopefully his family, his sister, whoever, that family member that's still in his life, hopefully they sued the Dickerson Police Department. You guys suck. Chief from the police to the chief from I don't even know them other two guys' name, who was doing the paperwork, who was processing the guy, who knew he needed medical attention but still didn't give it to him. All you guys definitely get a big fat F. You feel me? So failure to do everything that you're supposed to do. You guys suck. But this BSMG channel, let me know what y'all think of this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. We out.